Absolutely horrendous. I couldn't believe he'd done that.
Weeks after Baby Reindeer aired on Netflix, the real-life stalker was exposed. Fiona Harvey decided to share her side of the story, and everyone is wondering, is she a victim too? Richard Gadd, who wrote and starred as the main character in Baby Reindeer, had no idea his show would be so successful.
It's blown up so quickly and so fast all around the world that I didn't expect it in a lot of ways.
Eventually, millions of people across the globe became invested in what Netflix claimed is a true story. Not based on true events, not inspired by real events, but a true story. Remember this vital piece of information for later.
And so, yeah, the story is based in truth for sure.
For those who haven't watched this dark drama, here's a brief plot summary. Donnie, an aspiring comedian and writer, moves to London seeking a better life. However, his unique performances fail to attract audiences. Meanwhile, Donnie works as a bartender and lives with his ex-girlfriend's mother. One day, a sad woman named Martha, claiming to be a successful lawyer for celebrities and politicians, enters the pub without money for a drink. Donnie pities her, offers her a drink, and jokingly responds to her compliments. This seemingly innocent encounter spirals into a years-long stalking ordeal filled with insults and threats. In the meantime, internet detectives, armed with their mobile devices, did their best to track down the real Martha. All it took was a few weeks. They matched the social media posts from the TV show to a woman named Fiona Harvey. And boy, the resemblance to Martha is uncanny.
The internet sleuths tracked me down and hounded me and gave me death threats.
Fiona had become the victim of harassment because the TV show painted her as a psycho stalker. That's when the 58-year-old agreed to appear in interviews and share her version of events. Harvey said the whole Baby Reindeer storyline is a lie. From that first free cup of tea to the thousands of messages and Martha's alleged criminal history.
I find it quite obscene, I find it horrifying, misogynistic.
Arguably the most interesting part of the interview was learning that Harvey had no idea she would be material in a Netflix production.
And when did you know that Netflix were doing something?
2 weeks ago. I had just moved flats, so it was 2 weeks ago past Saturday.
And how did you hear?
I saw on BBC Breaking News.
This raised questions about the ethics behind making the TV show. After the interview, journalists investigated how Netflix produced the entire project without Fiona's consent. Veteran publications like the BBC talked about a duty care of failure. Basically, even though Netflix and the production company claim they did their best to hide Fiona's identity, many would disagree. What does Baby Reindeer think about all of this? Firstly, before his stalker was outed, Gadd urged fans to stop looking for her.
Gadd taking to social media pleading with fans to stop the sleuthing, writing, "People I love, have worked with, and admire are unfairly getting caught up in speculation. Please don't speculate on who any of the real-life people could be. That's not the point of our show."
If I wanted the real people to be found, I would have made a documentary, he said. Richard also once explained that he dramatized and exaggerated the story for the screenplay. He even changed his own name, which means Richard wrote in fiction, and he assumed there was plenty of legroom for a creative stretch. Now, we get to why all of this spun out of control. As someone watching the show, it's hard to say what's real and what's not. The topics being addressed are serious, and human nature is understanding why certain things happen.
I hope it's an important story to tell. I hope that it brings certain comfort to people, maybe even stirs the right kind of debate, who knows.
In the show, Gadd visualizes how nuanced mental health is and spotlights the questionable decisions people make because of unhealed trauma. On the other hand, we're also shown that this woman harassed Donnie and even tried to get to him in his home.
There you are! You cowardly, two-timing f***!
We're introduced to Martha's criminal past, being made to believe she was once in jail for harassing a family. Maybe people thought finding the real Martha would help them understand why she did it. But that's not what happened. Fiona denies ever being in love with the young comedian.
I don't fancy little boys.
The woman claims that Richard is actually obsessed with her. Otherwise, why would he write a show about her? Even if the claims of texts and calls were true, Fiona has no criminal records. So her side of the story is just as valid. Fiona even planned to sue Netflix, the production company, and Gad for defaming her character in Baby Reindeer.
Martha can't help with me because there are a number of allegations that have been put to me by journalists that are simply not true.
Now, just to clear the air, the same journalist questioning Netflix said they should have guided Richard more when writing his story. Netflix knows some industry pros who are well-versed in storytelling. There were better ways to deal with a sensitive topic involving real people. For example, they could have given Martha a different profession, a different accent, anything to make her more fictional, except just changing her name. Besides, Richard explained in a previous interview that he looked at his stalker with compassion. Stalking and harassment is a form of mental illness. It would have been wrong to paint her as a monster because she's unwell and the systems failed her, he said. It's clear why Richard made this project, to heal through a difficult time.
I got a catharsis from going to the Edinburgh Festival and actually performing these plays and exploring the themes and just getting it all out there.
So, was Netflix responsible for more damage than good? As much as the show made Fiona vulnerable, some say Richard is a victim of Netflix too. Sensitive information was misused and mishandled, so a streaming service could make money. What do you think? Who is the victim in this story? Share your thoughts in the comments.